Hello class, today we're going to look at the ruler a little bit closer, and it'll be the English ruler. We're not going to deal with centimeters, meters, kilometers, and all that good stuff yet. We'll do metric later on when we do decimals, but we're going to look at the English system and kind of talk about the inch and break the 1 inch down so that you kind of know what all these little markings mean. Okay, if you look on the screen here, I'll use my pencil to point. The first rough thing you have to remember when you use a ruler, never use the edge because it wears down, right? So what the manufacturers of these rulers normally do is they'll put the 0 mark a little farther in. So if, let's say for example, we wanted to measure this paper clip, okay, I'm going to put the edge of the paper clip on that 0 mark. Okay, now there's different types of rulers. This one, it'll tell you right here that it's measuring in 1/16 of inches. So in other words, if you counted these spaces between 0 and 1, there would be exactly 16 spaces. So they've cut that inch into 16 pieces. If you think of it as a piece of pie, it would be there'd be 16 equally sized slices. But this is not a pie, obviously. This is a ruler. So if you count there, now notice these markings are different sizes, okay? And those are designed just to be able to distinguish between reduced fraction equivalences of 1/16 of an inch. In other words, for example, 2/16. If I write 2/16 up here, okay? We want to reduce these fractions whenever we can when we read the ruler. So we would not describe 2/16, by the way, which would be, if we count them, there's one space, 2 spaces. This longer mark would be 2/16. But we would normally reduce that fraction and describe that piece of the inch as 1/8. So from the 0 mark to this first long mark is an 1/8. From this long mark to this next long mark is another 1/8. And another 1/8, 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 and another 1/8. Can you guess how many 1/8ths are in 1 inch? Well, there's 16/16, so if you said and guessed 8/8 equals 1 inch, you are correct. Okay? Then, after 1/8ths, let's say we measure to this line here. Well, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4/16. 4/16, which is equivalent to 2/8, which is still reduced to 1/4. Okay, so this marking is quarters. So if we want to chop this inch up into quarters, we'd use this mark would be 1/4. This mark would be 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. Okay? And we could also even go to halves. This longest mark in the middle is a 1/2 inch. Or, if you want to talk about equivalent fractions, a 1/2 inch is, I'm going to write it down here, hopefully we can see it on there. Yep. Let me get lined up again. Okay, let me just move this down here, start over. Okay, we're talking about a 1/2 inch. This is the 1/2 inch mark right here. But remember, that's 8/16, which is also 4/8, which is also 1/2. Okay, so the bottom line is there's different ways to describe the same measurement, but when you're on the job, you always want to use the reduced form. Okay, so let's actually measure a few objects. Let me get this out of the way, and we'll actually first take a look at this paper clip. All right, so the first thing is line that 0 mark up, and we want to measure this to the nearest 1/16 of an inch. So if you wanted to, you could count all these little spaces. Take a little longer, right? Well, we know it's definitely at least 1 inch. So that's our first whole number, and I'll just write that right here. We know we got 1 inch. And let's count how many 16ths beyond the 1 inch we have. We have 1, 2, 3, it looks like closest to 4. So it'd be 1 and 4/16. Okay, now if you're on the job, you're not going to say 1 4/16. Remember, we're going to write the lowest term, so we'd say 1 1/4, inch and a quarter. So that paper clip is about 1.25 inches long. Okay, and it's a good idea to label. So 1.25 inches. Inches label is IN. All right, let's measure this marker. Let me move my camera up a little bit so we can see it. So we're going to measure the length of this marker next. Let it focus for a second. Hopefully it'll focus. Maybe it won't. Well, it's being stubborn. Let me try moving it closer a little bit. Sorry about this. That's too close. There, it's clear. Okay, so the first thing again, I'm going to line that 0 up right on the edge of that where I think it's on the marker. And I don't know if you can see without the glare there, but yeah, then my whole thing moves. I want to just make sure you can see the edge of the marker here. So trust me that I have it lined up on the 0. I'm going to slide this over so you can see the camera's right on the below it. So if we look at this, definitely have 4 inches. Okay, we definitely have a half, so 4.5. Okay, remember a half? Let's see what it's closest to. It looks like it's closest to this mark right here. So take a second. What do you think that would be? If you said 4 3/4 of an inch, you're right. The camera angle's a little off and it kind of misleads you there, but trust me, it's actually right where my pencil is. So it's 4 3/4, or 4 6/8, or 12/16, but we would say 4 3/4. All right, hopefully this next measurement goes a little smoother than that one. Here I have a ticket, admit 1 ticket. Let's see how long this is. So again, put your 0 there. Oh, it looks like this is pretty close to exactly 2 inches, doesn't it? Okay. All right, hopefully that kind of gives you a little insight on how to use a ruler. If you have questions, see me in class.